Hey, Stephen from Z-Bar Cattle Company. I wanted to show y'all, I tried to do it last week but didn't have my microphone working. By the way, if any of y'all have any tips on how I could get an extension for this microphone, will you send them to me? I need about a 10 or 12 foot extension that'll work in an iPhone so I can get some distance on my microphone. But I wanted to show y'all last week how we broke down a chuck roll. There's several different cuts that you can utilize a chuck roll for. It's really kind of underutilized. It's a great cut, but what we have laid out here on the table, Josh is going to show us. We have essentially the whole steer as if the head was in this portion, tail down there, of course. And these are the most major cut. There's still several of them: inside skirt, outside skirt, bavette, a few things like that. But these are the major primals that you're going to get off of a steer carcass. So Josh, take us through this. Kind of tell us what each cut is as you work your way back, and then also tell us what retail cuts that we can get out of these, what we're used to seeing in the meat case when we go to Z-Bar and buy our meat.
Well, I'll start with the back. Back here, you have your round, which is going to be on your top of your back leg. It's going to be great for like round roast, stew meat, cutlets, even thin sliced beef or beef jerky. And then right next to it, between it and the strip loin, is your sirloin, which consists of your top sirloin, your sirloin tip, your tri-tips, your buffets, your culotte. All that's going to be this one area right here. And then we come forward, on the top of the carcass, you're going to have your strip loin, your porterhouse and your strip, and then underneath it, you're going to have your tenderloin. And then moving up, it's going to be your ribeye loin. Right where the strip ends, the ribeye starts. It comes all the way down, and right where it ends is where the chuck starts. So a lot of people think of chuck as you're tough, cook it low and slow, but actually it's located so near the ribeye that this first half portion right here can make some really nice tender steaks.
You will see some of these Delmonico steaks. Delmonico was really underutilized, and you'll also hear it called chuck eye steaks, but it's kind of a continuation of the ribeye. It's not going to be as tender as the ribeye is, but super flavorful, especially if it's cooked right, kind of low and slow. Tends to be a great cut. But what Josh has out right now is he's got a whole chuck roll. If you look at a meat buyer's code or anything, these are called 116 chuck rolls. That's the whole chuck roll. It's not pieced out, but he's going to go through there for us and show us how we piece it out, and then also on our sunset steaks, so show you where our sunset steaks come from, or also a Denver steaks, where they come from.
So here's the whole chuck right here. You're probably used to seeing this right here, which would be your chuck roast. It's going to contain all three of the muscles that make up the chuck. And then on the side here, it's not here, so we remove it processed, but this is where your sunset steak's going to be located. I picked it up so you can see how much it looks like the sunset. So this right here is going to make up that chuck flat tail. Now I'm going to piece the what we call the chuck brisket and the Delmonico apart from each other.
On those sunset steaks, you won't find those listed anywhere. We're from Sunset, Texas, and we just made the name up Sunset Steaks. The Meat Institute is from Denver, Colorado. They call it Denver steaks. We're from Sunset. We call them Sunset steaks. So if you're trying to look it up to find out more about it, it would be listed under a Denver steak. How many main pieces are there to the chuck, Josh?
What's that?
How many main pieces?
You're gonna have three main pieces, which is, or if you had your whole chuck, it's gonna be, of course, your chuck flat tail, this 116D, I believe, which is gonna be your chuck flat, and then right here your chuck eye one.
Okay. The one thing that we have been doing a whole lot of is, since we raise most all these cattle, there are some pieces of the Wagyu and briskets and things I have to buy from other producers when I run short. But we've been running out of briskets fairly often, And we have been recommending to these guys to smoke these chuck rolls, and they've had excellent results from them. They're $2 a pound cheaper than our briskets, and especially if you don't want to cook a 12 or 15 pound brisket, these chuck rolls are excellent for that. Like I said, briskets are really not all that great of a cut, but it's the way that you cook it low and slow over a long period of time. And if you'll take these chuck rolls, they're called the underblade, right, Josh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the chuck underblade. You cook those low and slow, you're going to get about a 7 to 9 pound chuck brisket out of those, and it is fantastic. I mean, it's really wonderful. It's the next best thing to smoking ribeye for $4.99 a pound versus having to sit out there 12 or 16 hours on a whole brisket. Those are a nice alternative. So Josh, tell us what you cut up there.
So I just want to piece out the rest of the way. Once you slice your Delmonico's, you're going to be looking at these steaks right here. They really do look like a mini ribeye. They're really nice. They're one of my favorites. And then if you want to cook like a roast, like a beef roast, this Delmonico roast makes a fantastic roast as well. I'd say it's a little bit more high end than just cooking a whole chuck, in a crock pot. You could actually cook this one in the oven and slice it like prime rib. And then right here, this is like our main piece. It's going to be that we are substituting for brisket. It's got a nice fat cap on top, tons of marbling. It's not going to dry out on you like brisket will. It's going to give you a little bit more room for error, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But so you guys that are on keto that need that kind of fat to lean ratio, you ought to consider some of these chuck eye steaks. Now, you can't just grill them just like you can ribeye, because they are part of the chuck section and they can get a little chewy on you. If you cook them hot and fast, occasionally some of those chuck eyes, Delmonico's, can get a little chewy on you. But I've smoked all of mine on my Yoder and have gotten along excellent with them, just kind of low and slow. I'll cook them at 325 for maybe like 20-25 minutes, and they come out just fantastic. They're half the price of a ribeye, super flavorful, really worth looking at. But that's how we break down the chuck roll, the different cuts that we get from it. So you get a Sunset, you get the Delmonico steaks, you get the underblade or the chuck brisket, and then you can get some of your chuck roast from that. So anything else, Josh?
That's about it. And then a lot of people ask where the chuck shoulder roast comes from. That's going to come right underneath your chuck.
Yep.
That makes a fantastic roast as well.
Nice. This week, I'm not going to talk about our specials this week. I'll put them in the comments or list them on there, but that's how you break down the chuck roll. We'll break down another cut next week. So hope y'all have a great week. Thanks.